The question, what existed before God, is a common question that people have about God. Theists often claim that God created everything. But if God created everything, then could something have existed before him and caused him to exist? It doesn't sit well with a lot of people that Christians believe that God existed before everything else and created everything, because if God existed before everything else, then why couldn't something have existed before him and caused him to exist? This is a great question, but if someone's asking this question, they may have a bit of a misunderstanding about the Christian view of God. The question, what existed before God, only applies to a God that was created at a finite point in the past and therefore exists within time. However, the Christian view of God is that God has eternally existed outside of time, space, and matter. Therefore, the answer to this question would be that literally nothing existed before God, since there never was a time when God did not exist. Asking this question is a lot like asking, what sound does silence make? Which is a logically contradictory question that doesn't understand the definition of silence. Similarly, in asking what existed before God, this question is basically asking what existed before the uncaused, eternal being who always has existed and always will exist. God is eternal and has always existed, so nothing existed before God, because there never was a time before God. Now, you may be wondering, if God is eternal and nothing existed before God, then why can we not just say that the universe is eternal and therefore nothing existed before it? This is another great question, and it turns out that both science and philosophy give us good reason to believe that the universe had a beginning at a finite point in the past. The discovery of the Big Bang showed that the universe began to exist at a finite point in the past. This was a moment when time, space, and matter began to exist. Science has also shown that the universe will not continue to exist forever, since the universe is running out of useful energy, which will eventually end in the heat death of our universe. It also turns out that we can logically show that the universe has not existed eternally due to the impossibility of transgressing through an actual infinite amount of time, or of something existing for an actual infinite amount of time. We know this is impossible because we've arrived at the present second, which came after the second before it, which came after the second before it, which came after the second before it, which can go on for a while, but it can't go on infinitely, because if it had, we would have never been able to endure through that actual infinite amount of time to arrive at the present second, especially because this present second would have already happened within the infinite amount of time that the universe had already existed. However, we have arrived at this present second, which has never existed until now. Therefore, there must have been a finite amount of time in the past, and therefore the universe must have had a beginning. Think of it as if someone told you that they finished counting to infinity. You would know that could not have happened, because no matter what number they actually counted to, no matter how large that number may be, there would always be more numbers for them to count to. The same is true with time. Since this present moment has not existed until now, there must have only been a finite number of seconds in the past, meaning that there must have been a first beginning second to start off this finite number of seconds, ending in the present second. So the universe could not have existed for an infinite amount of time. Additionally, God could not have been created out of nothing, since nothing, which is literally no thing, does not have anything with which to create God out of. However, if you grant that there's a universe that exists now, and that you can't get something out of absolutely nothing, then there must have been something to cause the universe to come into existence. This cause would have had to have been timeless, spaceless, immaterial, and the first cause of everything else. So there couldn't have been anything that existed before God or caused God to exist, because God is the first cause of everything else and has eternally existed outside of time, space, and matter. Some may claim that quarks in the quantum field caused our universe to exist, so we do not need a creator God. However, if our universe was caused by quarks in the quantum field, then we can still ask what caused these quarks in the quantum field to exist in the first place. And from the impossibility of something existing for an actual infinite amount of time, we know that these quarks could not have existed infinitely, so these quarks, even if they did exist, would still require a cause for their existence. So the universe could not have existed eternally, either as quarks in the quantum field or in its present form, so there must have been an uncaused first cause of our universe. Whatever caused the universe to begin to exist at a finite point in the past must have been timeless, spaceless, immaterial, and created the universe out of nothing, but was not itself nothing. This definition of the cause of the universe is consistent with what Christians mean by God, who created the universe out of nothing at a finite point in the past. Whatever caused the universe to begin to exist must have been timeless, spaceless, immaterial, and created the universe out of nothing, but was not itself nothing. This definition of the cause of the universe is consistent with what Christians mean by God, who created the universe out of nothing and exists outside of time. By this definition, there was no time before God, since God is eternal, so it would be logically inconsistent to claim that something existed before God. Please like and subscribe for more videos that share God's love through apologetics, and remember, Jesus loves you.